Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. Today I want to go through and give you guys an update inside of Ethereum and go over one of my all-time favorite charts when analyzing market cycles. Market cycles are one of the best ways in which you can profit inside of the cryptocurrency space because oftentimes all of these cryptocurrencies behave on cyclical time frames. By us understanding how these time frames work and by us understanding how the emotional psychology works of a market cycle, we can put ourselves at a strategic advantage over the rest of the market time and time again. People that listen to this type of analysis are going to be the people that make the highest ROI of this cycle with the least amount of effort. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Make sure that you guys click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. And always remember, guys, to join the Discord server. Currently, we have over 17,000 members. This is the very best Discord community out there in crypto, and I'd love it if you guys would join. It's free for anybody that wants to. All you guys got to do to join is to click inside the description of this video, and there you're going to find the invitation link to my Discord server. Now, on the Discord server, I also offer my exclusive content like the video course and signals. So if you're somebody that wants to follow along with all the trades that I take, you want to copy my long-term portfolio and see exactly what I'm doing with mine, or you guys would rather follow along with my 20 educational videos to teach you guys how to trade inside of these markets, make sure you stay all the way to the end of this video because then I'm going to be taking a couple minutes to explain how you guys can get signed up, the pros of doing so, and what it's going to take to get you guys going today. And one final thing, guys, make sure you also check out my free ebook. It's completely finished, over 38 pages long, full of exciting information that's going to teach you guys some of the ins and outs to my personal trading plan. You guys will learn a little bit of trading knowledge, investing knowledge, and then I've got a bunch of terminology to help kind of give you guys the right mindset when it comes to trading and investing. And I've also got a 10-part quiz in there so you guys can go through, read all the information, and then quiz yourself so you retain all of the information learned. So make sure you guys download that. Once again, links are in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so first things first, we're going to be taking a look at the chart of Ethereum. I wanted to go through here and really talk about market cycles because I think that this is now the most important time to talk about market cycles due to the fact we're still in a pretty important area where there's still a lot of undecisive move. You know, are we going to go lower for a leg down or are we going to start breaking up and go higher? We're kind of just in this in-between stage where really nobody knows exactly which direction we're going to head, which is why I figured now is the greatest time to actually look at the big picture, zoom into what we can see with the overall market structure, with market cycles, and then we'll go about how to actually trade and profit off of this. Now, one of the most important parts of my trading plan is understanding what a market cycle is and going about investing inside of these cycles. Now, if you time the market cycle to the best of your abilities and you time it in the right way, you can actually set yourself up to make the biggest majority of that ROI. And really, it just requires you to just dollar cost average and buy into those low points. And so we're going to go through here and I'm actually going to label to you guys a chart that I personally watch time and time again. And that is the Wall Street cheat sheet or the emotional psychology of a market cycle. In my opinion, this is a chart that everybody should have on file, you know, anytime that they can just look at this and just scan over the rest of the cryptocurrency markets, because you're going to be able to find this pattern over and over and over again. And this is just the emotional psychology of a market cycle. Now, this is the way every market cycle will behave based off of the human emotions that are inside of this, because you guys got to understand that it's all humans that are investing their own It's all humans that are investing their hard-earned money inside of these markets, and because of that, there's going to be an emotional attachment. Most people that invest aren't actually going to make a profit, and in fact, it's about 80 to 90% of those that aren't profitable. So that means only 10 to 20% of the people that are investing in the markets are actually earning a profitable return. And the reason for this is because of the emotional psychology of a market. Specifically with cryptocurrency, these are some of the most volatile as well as the most profitable market cycles that we've ever had. They're very emotional. There's a ton of new money that gets thrown into these, and that causes a lot of parabolic rises. And because of that, there's a huge room for positive gain. There's also a big room for error if you are unsure of what you're actually doing. And that's the most important thing, guys. The reason why I focus on the long-term trend is because I can analyze these market cycles specifically, and I can actually go about investing in these based off of just this one chart. And so we're going to go through here and I'm actually going to kind of go over how this chart works. I'm going to explain it, break it down for you guys that maybe don't understand, because this is a chart I'm going to be pulling up a lot more over the next couple weeks, because I think that now is just the most important time to have this on file so you guys can pull it up, look at it, and research inside of the market yourself. Now, really, I've talked about this in the last video yesterday, but one of the biggest and most important parts to understand here is that this is the way a cycle goes. You have a parabolic move up, you get more and more steep until finally we have too much momentum on the seller side, and then we start to fall back down, right? We have this big crash, we pretty much retrace the whole move, and then we just kind of round out here for a long period of time before we start it back over again. And so this is the disbelief phase. If you notice that there's two over here, that's because the disbelief phase happens right before the major uptrend begins. And there happens twice, because you'll have it happen at the bottom of the last trend, the new trend will blow up, this trend will crash, and then it'll start over a brand new parabolic trend, well above and beyond this all-time high mark of the last cycle. And this is the same thing that's happening right here. And this is the emotions that you feel. You know, disbelief is where nobody actually believes it's going to take off. This rally will fail like all others. Then you have hope. When we start to break out an uptrend, a recovery is possible. They start to actually believe that, you know, maybe this is right, maybe it's going to go up, and they were wrong about that. And then we start to go actually parabolic. And then that's when they start to get optimistic. This rally is real. Belief. Time to get fully invested. Thrill. I will buy more on margin. Got to tell everybody to buy. And then you get the top of the cycle, which is euphoria. I am a genius. We're all going to be rich. This is where everybody's making profit. All their friends are making profit. Their margin longs are in profit. And little do they know that they've just over leveraged themselves at the worst time possible. And then we start the crash back down. Complacency. We just need to cool off for the next rally. This is where everybody expects it, that it's going to keep going up, only that it fails. And then we go into the negative emotions. Anxiety, denial, panic. Everyone is selling. I need to get out. Capitulation. I am getting 100% out of the markets. I can't afford to lose more. Anger. Who shorted the market? Why did the government allow this to happen? And these are all the emotions that are played and translated inside of the emotional psychology of a market cycle. And you guys got to remember that when, 80 to 90% of the market is losing, that 80 to 90% emotions are reflected in this graph. The average retail investor, they like to buy when the markets are going up. They buy pumping prices. And us smart investors, we're looking to accumulate the tail end or the bottom of the market cycle, because that's where we're going to find the peak point of financial opportunity. And that's actually simplified by this graph over here. Simplified market cycle. We can see that as the prices expand and they go up in value, that's the peak point of maximum financial risk. Because as the prices go up, you're awaiting before we eventually go back down. And so if you're buying up here, not only are the prices more expensive, but the risk is more expensive due to how high the price has actually risen. And so by you buying on the uptrend, you're actually just setting yourself up for failure when this thing does start to collapse and crash back around you. And so what you want to be doing when you're investing inside of a market is you want to be buying at the bottom end of that contraction. We can see that the contraction happens where the prices go down, and then we get the expansion on the upside. You want to be selling in the expansion because you want to be buying during the contraction. Because if you buy down here, this is discounted values. This is when Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP, they're at discounted values, and you can buy them really cheap. And then when the market cycle goes up on the opposite end and we get the bull run, you can then scale out and then maximize your fullest opportunity of that cycle just basically by following this chart. And so most people, when you're getting into this market, you're going to be wanting to buy and you want to FOMO into these prices that are going up, when in actuality, you want to have the patience to buy everybody else's fear. You want to buy their anger. You want to buy their depression. You want to buy all the negative feelings, because it's when the feelings are negative, they're fearful, they're scared, they're anxious, all of these things, that's when you want to buy, because that's going to represent the peak point of financial opportunity, which in my opinion we're basically at. So let's take the chart of Ethereum and let's actually label it over this, and let's go over just how correlated all of these cycles are, because I think that this is just a super cool graph that I wanted to share with you guys today. Overall, it's really amazing to me just how close this chart actually follows the other one. It's almost the same type of graph. I mean, we can see the exact same emotions that are being reflected here. And let's go through and actually analyze them, because I think that this is really important to understand. So here in the emotional psychology, we can see that this is really our first higher high, and then we start going parabolic here, right? Now, this is really where we make our first uptrend. This move right here, we're just kind of consolidating on this trend line before we go into that final blow off top. And the same thing happened in Ethereum back in 2015. Ethereum started down here at about 40 cents, and then we got this major bull run. And in that first move, it took us all the way upwards of about $450. And that's where we got this little ascending triangle before we ultimately blew up into that final blow off top phase. And this is really the exact same point of this cycle. You know, this little ascending triangle before moon is the same thing as this little move here, where we're just kind of uptrending. And then we go up into that final parabolic move. And we can see both of these happened right here at the same point. So hope this is the point where the market starts breaking out. It starts uptrending before it goes super parabolic. And this is really the same point that Ethereum was at back in 2015. Or back in 2017 when it was at $450. It was at this hope phase. And then you can see that we get the real blow off top where everything just goes parabolic, right? And that's when you can start to see these emotions being played out. Optimism would have been right here. Belief would have been right here. Thrill would have been right here, and then euphoria happens at the top of the cycle. You can see each and every one of these levels is being translated almost identically to how the Wall Street cheat sheet works. And this is because it does not matter which market it is. It could be gold, it could be silver, it could be cryptos, it could be the stock market, you know, it could be uranium, it could be literally any market. All that matters is that it's humans that are investing their money inside of that market. And so because of this, you're going to see their own emotions reflected in the price graph itself. And that's why I personally am a long-term investor, is because I like to look at the big picture trend and I like to analyze market cycles, because market cycles are going to be the most profitable setup that you can use. And it's going to be the easiest one to spot when you actually have a trained eye to do so. And we can see that it doesn't matter whether it was Ethereum. This chart back here is actually the Nasdaq. But this chart with Ethereum looks almost identical. There are some differences, but overall, you can't deny the fact that this is pretty much the same type of chart because it's the human emotions that are reflected inside of a parabolic chart in general. And so we can see that all of this stuff is played out pretty much identically. Now, the only thing that didn't really was the complacency. You know, technically the Nasdaq got this lower high here, and then we went down for a sharp crash, whereas what we see here inside of Ethereum was just pretty much a sharp decline immediately. We didn't get our first lower high until about here. And so it was a little bit different as far as that goes, but nonetheless, this is pretty much the same chart all the way through, which is really important to understand here, guys. Now, this is what takes us to the most important part of this chart, and that is where we're at today, because I personally believe that we are back over here in this disbelief phase, right? You know, we've gone through anxiety, we've gone through denial, we've gone through panic, we've gone through capitulation and anger, and I believe that COVID was depression. You know, we've went through all of these because Ethereum itself has pretty much just been going down for quite some time. You know, down, down. We hit the lows of December. We retested those in COVID, but now we're actually rallying back up. And in fact, we're trending above support as we speak right now. So even though we could still go for one more leg lower, it's not going to change where we're at inside of this trend. And I personally believe that we're right here in this disbelief phase, because the disbelief phase is where nobody really thinks it's going to go back up again. Everybody's still too traumatized based off of all of the sideways chop that we went through. And because of that, nobody's buying it, and most of these people are about to miss out on a huge opportunity because of that. And so what we can see right here is pretty much the same chart. And if we hide the Ethereum chart, we can see that after we go through this rounded accumulation phase, disbelief phase is really where we start to break out, and we retest these highs, and then we go much higher, right? And this is pretty much the same thing that Ethereum is doing today. Almost identical. We hit these lows, we accumulated sideways, and now we're breaking up higher before ultimately we go up much higher from here. And so this is why I wanted to share with you this chart with you guys, because I want you guys to understand how to profit off of this cycle. These are the most important charts to look at because this accurately maps out the emotions of Ethereum, and it shows that we're still in the very early stages before ultimately experiencing that bull run. In my opinion, where we're at is right here. We're down here inside of the contraction period, and we're still accumulating right down at the very bottom. And so we still have an amazing opportunity to accumulate cheap Ethereum, to accumulate cheap XRP, to accumulate cheap Bitcoin. All of your favorite cryptocurrencies are basically right here in the earliest stages of the contraction before we ultimately get this expansion on the upside. And that's where we're going to be looking to take profits, which I expect to play out in the year 2021. And so this is really the way that I'm personally structuring my entire portfolio, how I've dollar cost averaged since mid-2018, and how I'm going to continue to just play out as we go up much higher into the cycle as we break all-time highs, because this is exactly what's going to happen. You know, like it states over here, the disbelief phase happens twice. The disbelief phase happens at the bottom of a trend, right before a major uptrend, right? And we're about to see the same thing happen once again. Another major impulse in this next market cycle, which is going to create a ton of profit potential. Now quickly, let's actually dive into one more chart that I wanted to share with you guys, because I think that this one is also really important to understand when taking a look at the bullish trend of Bitcoin. So here we are, guys, taking a look at the Nasdaq, and we're also taking a look at the chart of Bitcoin, because these are pretty much the same chart. Now this is taking a look at the Nasdaq, which is just basically an index for all the biggest stock companies. The Nasdaq itself went through a very similar parabolic advance and an accumulation period after the internet bubble back in the early 90s. And so this was the internet bubble where all of the internet stocks were really ballooning the values of the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq went super parabolic, right? This tops in about the year 2000, and then we start this big decline, right? Now, this is pretty much the same chart as what we're seeing today in Bitcoin. You know, back in Bitcoin, we went from 2016 all the way up to 2018. We had that massive parabolic move, and it looks pretty much identical to what we saw in the Nasdaq. And then we start the bear market decline, right? Lower lows, lower highs. And in the Nasdaq, we all made lower lows all the way through. With Bitcoin, we kind of stopped here at support at 6K before ultimately having one more leg lower that took us down to 3,000. And so it's pretty much the same. The only difference is Bitcoin kind of held support here and then sold off, whereas the Nasdaq just made all of its lower lows in precision. And so this is still the same chart for the most part. After we find the low point of the capitulation, we make our first dead cat bounce on the upside. Same thing happened with Bitcoin. This was when we went from 3K to 14K and then back down. Now with the Nasdaq, we ended up crashing all the way back down to retest pretty much the very low end of capitulation before ultimately breaking out and going into price discovery. And this is pretty much the same exact chart as Bitcoin. After we hit the high of 14K, we crashed back down to retest these lows, and then we got the buyback just the same as the Nasdaq happened. Just the same as the Nasdaq did here. And so where I think we are is about somewhere in between this area right here. We could potentially be right here, and we might not actually get the sell that's going to take us back down to about 9K. We might already be at the bottom before ultimately breaking out much higher. Overall, I'm expecting that this chart and this chart are going to continue to behave the same. And this is really what I'm expecting to have happen with Bitcoin. Just a big parabolic move as we venture closer to the all-time highs of 20,000. And that's really what I expect Bitcoin to close out this year. And that's going to cause a lot of value to be put into the cryptocurrency space. We're going to see a lot of higher highs across the altcoins, continuing to reign supreme here as it starts to continue to rise up to that all-time high as we break out into new price discovery. This is the thing that I'm expecting to have happen. And when this happens, it's going to cause a ton of value to rise inside of those altcoins. And this is why we have to be ready to invest during the low points of the trend, during the low points of the cycle, because this is where we make the highest ROI for ourselves. The max point of financial opportunity comes when you buy the bottom of the cycle, which is exactly what we're seeing in the altcoins. Some altcoins have already started breaking out, some altcoins being outliers like Chainlink. These are the coins that you really got to watch out for, because these are going to leaps and bounds outperform the rest of the market, and we have an amazing opportunity to profit off that. Now, anyways, guys, this is the video I had for you. I wanted to keep it short and simple. Wanted to go over some basic principles. Wanted to give you guys some insight into my own personal portfolio and how I invest dollar cost average, because this is going to be a video that perfectly explains where Ethereum's at. It shows that we are still in the disbelief phase, and we're getting ready to leave ultimately before we go into new price discovery. Now, quickly, before we wrap things up, and I want to talk to you guys about the video course and signals for the people that want to sign up for that. Now, my signals are a way for you guys to actually copy my portfolio. When you get into these markets, the hardest thing for you guys is going to be understanding how to make a good portfolio, how to trade that portfolio, when to take profits, and all of those important things. Any idiot can buy a cryptocurrency and make profit, but it takes a special kind of person to understand how to manage that profit and how to actually go about consistently doing it again. And that's what I'm going to be doing to you. That's what I'm going to be doing for you guys inside of my Discord. Really, what you guys are going to sign up for is I'm going to be posting new VIP videos aside from YouTube. So I'm going to be posting new updates that are only exclusive to my VIP members. You guys are also going to get access to my long-term portfolio. You'll know exactly what my allocations are to what and what percentages I'm holding of each. And then I'm also going to give you guys access to all of my other signals that I post, whether it's short-term, whether it's DeFi picks, whether it's Uniswap picks. All of them are going to be translated inside of the signals. And so if you guys want to just copy what I'm doing, you want to take some of my trades, the signals are going to be the thing for you. Now, for the people that would rather just sign up and follow for my 20 educational videos, I offer that inside of my course. My course is going to teach you guys all of my strategies for profiting. You guys are going to know all of my technical analysis, support and resistance, trend lines, market cycles, emotional psychology, Fibonacci, and then you're going to get into some more advanced stuff like how to manage your portfolio, and then how to also manage your risk to reward, some things like that. All of this is really going to help you guys get on the right path of profiting. Whichever one you choose, you can purchase them together or you can purchase them separate. But if you guys can only pick one, I always recommend going with the signals first, because you guys can come in, copy my portfolio, make that profit, and ultimately, if you want to take some of that profit and diversify that into my educational course, then that is going to be a route for you guys to take. But ultimately, the signals are going to be the thing that's going to help you the most, because this is how you're going to make all of that profit. Now, one last thing is, if you guys don't want to sign up for either of those, you guys can also download my free ebook. Once again, 38 pages long, full of exciting information that's going to teach you guys all of the ins and outs to really what I do inside of my group. If you guys are on the fence about signing up for either of my VIP, the ebook is really going to fine tune some of that. It's going to explain to you guys what my group comes with. It's going to explain how I trade, how I invest, and it's going to give you guys a lot of insight as to how you guys can personally go about trading and investing. There's a 10-part quiz so you guys can go through, learn about all the content inside of that ebook, and then quiz yourself so you retain all of that information and knowledge. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, links are provided inside the description for both the ebook as well as the website to purchase either of my VIPs. So make sure you guys check that out. And with all that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.